Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back. Our guest today is the one and only Lynette Zang. She's the founder and CEO of Zang Enterprises. And of course, she's a legend in the precious metals industry. Welcome back, Lynette.
I'm happy to be here, Ivan. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I wanted to get you on because, there's so many exciting things that's happening in the precious metal space. We're looking at silver right now, and it's a 13-year high since 2011. Gold is going up as well. And I wanted to, ask you, could you explain, I guess, the main factors behind this current silver rally and how significant is the current, prices range compared to the past peaks?
Well, I think a lot of what's happening, I mean, there is so much happening and nothing is happening inside of a vacuum. And so I think that especially with silver and gold, it is also interconnected with what's just happened in the monetary system with the Genius Act, utilizing these stable coins and this big, huge push in that new direction. And so I think that part of what we're witnessing, besides the technicals, because certainly the break of this resistance level to a new high is going to be a bigger push. And, silver's got this huge cup formation. It's actually the biggest double cup formation I've ever seen. If you go all the way back to the 80s, I mean, this is tremendous. And so I'm thinking that by the end of the year or shortly thereafter, I think we're very likely to see the spot silver market hit that $50 resistance level. And what I'm looking for is for it to go through it. And once it goes through it, even if it's for a minute and then you get a little bit of work off. Yeah. And even at these levels, silver is not fully priced to its true fundamental value, so
Yeah.
silver always walks a really interesting tightrope to me because it is the second monetary metal, but it's also hugely an industrial metal. So
Hello, my fellow silver and gold stacker. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the channel. Subscribe, please like the video, and also hit the notification bell. Keep stacking. What's your biggest concern right now, Lynette? That you're keeping an eye on. A lot of people have been talking about whether it's debt levels, interest rate, bonds. What do you have your eye on right now that's concerning you?
the Genius Act,
Yeah.
because whenever anything is named such, then it's just the opposite. And you have to remember, I've been studying currencies and currency life cycles since 1987.
Wow.
What people do not realize is that when that act was signed, the new, at least this term system, this is not over. And I want everybody to 100% understand that what I'm saying doesn't mean that, oh, this was a no big deal and we've just shifted and okay, because it doesn't work like that. But they have to get adoption, and they did it, between 2009 and they did it up until they signed the Genius Act, and now they're getting even more massive adoption, and we're all going to be forced into that adoption. But I believe, there is not one doubt in my mind, and I could certainly be wrong, but this is such an extreme feeling for me. And typically when I get these feelings like this, then I'm never wrong. Timing is different, but I'm never wrong about this. The easier and cheaper it is to make new money, the easier and cheaper it is to make new fiat money, more fiat money will be made. And this is a repetition of 1914, when they installed the Federal Reserve, and then they used corporate debt, so corporate balance sheets, to turn into Federal Reserve notes and create a whole bunch of money. And people lost about 50% of their purchasing power between 1913. It really started in 1914 because they were legalized the end of 13. But that really started in 1914, and you could see that 10-to-1 ratio. Well, now with this, you've got corporations again cooperating to create this market because, of course, who's the one that benefits, right?
Right.
Corporations can now create this money out of thin air. What that does is, number one, it expands the money that's out there, but it also is about, and I've said this before, creating artificial demand for dollars because it used to be gold backed, then it was petro backed. Now you're looking at the stable coins having to back the dollar to continue to give it a level of relevance, along with the fact that these corporations now are being forced to, they'd have to buy treasuries as well. So for the government, aside from this making a shift from a paper debt-based system into a digital purchase based system, which is what we're looking at here, that to me, my biggest concern is that we have already technically, in my opinion, based on the M2 velocity, entered a period of hyperinflation. Here you go. This is the tool to usher it in. That's my biggest concern.
Uh, and you said the Act is already passed?
Yeah.
How come not a lot of people have been talking?
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, like not a lot of people are talking about the Genius Act, which is pretty crazy to me.
Especially since it's done just like when Nixon took us off the gold standard, and I was there for that. And granted, I wasn't an adult, but I was like 17 years old, something like that. So I was old enough for a certain level of awareness. And as brilliant as my family was, and I used to love to listen to my parents and aunts and uncles talk while they were playing penny ante poker, because I'd learned so much about the Depression and World War II and all of that. These are the things that they used to talk about. And yet, what do they say? Well, this isn't really going to impact that. Yes, it is, because we just shifted to an entirely new system. They don't want you to realize it, because by
Wow.
the time you realize it, you will be fully integrated into it, and there ain't nothing you're going to be able to do. So you got to get prepared now. I mean,
W-
you better have physical gold and silver in your possession, because I'm telling you, there is no doubt in my mind, we are fast headed toward the hyperinflation. Fast.
there's a lot of new, a lot of youth that's joining, the silver and gold community. More and more. Every single year, you're starting to see more people who want to get involved in protecting their purchasing power and their wealth. What would kind of be your top three, guidance advice for the youth when they're getting into the gold and silver market?
The first thing I would say is call us and let us help you educate yourself. But I sit on the advisory board of the Citizens for Sound Money, and that is actually a global sound money movement. And I think this is an extremely important opportunity to get sound money back in the monetary system again after the collapse. So as the younger generation comes up, and my grandson is one of those who he's 12, but he really understands sound money. He likes to accumulate silver. He
Nice.
talked me into selling him gold all day long at $15 for a coin.
Yeah.
But he really wants to be involved. So it's having these conversations and going to the Citizens for Sound Money movement and seeing what you can do to actually participate in your local government in getting sound money back in the system, because this is really who the fight is for. It's not for me. I'm old. I have plenty. And I'm not even really worried about my family because of what I've done for myself
Right.
and them. It's for everybody else's future, because there is no greater fight than the fight for our children's future. And that's been sold down the river. And it's not okay with me. So the other thing that gives me a level of hope in this is that while President Trump is considering expanding the alternative investments inside of pension plans like crypto, which kind of scares the crap out of me,
Yeah.
honestly. However, inside of that too, he is proposing gold and silver, physical. So I think that he's giving something that he knows that's going to be destructive because he is a transformative president, and this transformation must take place because there's no purchasing power left in the currency. On the other hand, I think he's also giving you tools to protect yourself with allowing and encouraging gold and silver in those systems. So that gives me a level of hope because I do think that if we can come together in global community, so we got to do it locally and we got to do it globally, that we can have an impact in the new system because they can't just back a currency with gold. You know,
Right.
once you do that, it fixes the debt at these unpayable levels. And in order to truly go fully into this new system, you need a clean balance sheet. So you got to get rid of the garbage from the last system before you can really embrace and enter this next system. And that's what people really need to understand. What gold and silver actually do is they hold your purchasing power intact here in this old system that frankly, for me, and I've been saying this since 2008, no doubt about it, died in 2008 and then into the new system so that you actually have some purchasing power to work with. But quite honestly, there are opportunities between here and there. Oh my God, there are opportunities that will present as these currently severely overvalued assets drop down to undervalued levels. And I want people really to understand that what we're looking at here and what we're actually dealing with here is a simple repetition of history. And so if you can learn to recognize the signs, then you can get into a proper position to take advantage of this burnout of all of this inflation that has been pumped into the system by all of this money printing. And I know everybody smiles when I do that because it's humorous. But what people need to understand is once they create this money, whether they do it in physical form or in digital form, it costs nothing to create that money. Nothing. So that's why that money goes to zero because it has no value. The governments and central banks create this money. It costs 9.2 or something like that cents to create $100 bill.
That's crazy.
They get to keep that difference. That's their income, right? And they've been underwater for 4 years. This is the 4th year. Any excess from all that money they create is supposed to go to the Treasury, and they haven't been able to give the Treasury any money going on now for 4 years. So
Wow.
what we have is a zombie government being supported by zombie central banks that are supported by zombie corporations. And now they've got to hyperinflate it away because it's the only way to do this. It is not an easy transition. Everybody needs a foundation of sound money because it's sound money because it's above central banks and governments. It cannot be inflated away. And the stable coins, what backs the stable coins? The dollar.
How long do you think, if you were to give an estimate, how long will the US dollar last? Like, do you think it'll go another 20 years, 30, 40,
I
maybe?
think the name can remain, but I think that within the next 2 years, everybody's going to be fully aware of the hyperinflation. They can
Wow.
keep the name. It doesn't mean anything. We had dollars before we went on the Federal Reserve System. They keep the name the same. We have dollars after Bretton Woods. We have dollars after 1971. We have dollars. It doesn't mean, it's just a name. It
Right.
doesn't mean anything. And I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry
No,
about
no, no, no. You know what? I love how passionate
very
you are about
bothered by this.
No, I love how passionate you are about this because, yeah, you educated me so much just on the simple fact of the Genius Act. You know, like I know a lot of people have been talking about the big beautiful bill, and how how bad that is, but yeah, until now I didn't know about the Genius Act, and yeah, it's getting scary out there, Lynette. You know, like there's so much. People are just trying to live and protect themselves and, try to have some savings. But yeah, it's a really crazy times we're living in.
Well, it's always interesting when somebody new comes in because they're really starting from scratch. And I'm not referring to you, I'm more referring to Josh, right? My producer, because they have the cleanest eyes of anybody, right? At that moment in time. And I can never really think about what the viewers, I try, but I've been doing this on some level my entire life. So I don't know what you don't know that you need to know. You know what I
Right.
But somebody coming in new does. The reason why I bring this up is a couple of weekends ago, I was in Florida, and I had a meeting with the Citizens for Sound Money, and we were meeting with Byron. You're going to have to change this. You always need to put his name up. I can never remember his last name. Please, I'm working on it. Thank you. Okay. So a couple weekends ago, as part of the Citizens for Sound Money, we went to Florida, who recently legalized gold and silver as legal tender. And we had a meeting with Byron Donalds, who President Trump has endorsed for the next governor. And it was a phenomenal meeting. We didn't have a whole lot of time, but that was the first time that I did it. And then afterwards, I mean, it was a great meeting because we've still got some work, even though they passed it. Missouri was the first state to actually just recently pass that you can settle your tax burden with the state with gold and silver. So I love that. We're
Wow.
making progress. We are making progress.
Wow.
But what was interesting is afterwards, we went out for lunch, not with Byron, but with the Citizens for Sound Money. And I was talking to Daniel Diaz, who is the lobbyist and the lead for this movement. And I told him just what I just said to you. When somebody comes in new, they have no idea what they're doing. This is the cleanest eyes. So I don't know exactly when yet, but we are going to start an additional broadcast live where he is actually going to teach me how to get involved in local politics rather than just saying it, because he's done that, right? And I'm like, this is still daunting. I still don't know how to do it.
Right.
I say, use me as a tool. We can all learn together because we have to do this. We have to get sound money back in our system or we're going to a feudal system, and your children will have no opportunities, none, if they have their way. World Economic Forum, you will own nothing by 2030. I don't think you're going to be happy if everything, including a cup that you want to drink out of, you have to lease.
Welcome to the Cayman Islands, a premier offshore jurisdiction where natural beauty meets financial stability. Here, your wealth is more than secure. It thrives in one of the most trusted and respected financial centers in the world. For over a decade, SWP has been the trusted choice for precious metal investors worldwide. Our purpose-built 6,000 square foot facility sets a new standard in precious metals storage. We are proud to be one of the only vault operators approved by the London Bullion Market Association. Beyond safeguarding your assets, we're committed to making a difference in our community by supporting local causes and events that reflect our values. As we continue to expand and innovate our services, we ensure that your wealth is safe and strategically positioned to shield you from the uncertainties that lie ahead. Strategic wealth preservation, trusted today and ready for tomorrow.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. You could even I seen something on the internet recently where you can finance a hot dog at Costco. Yeah, it's crazy.
Payments,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 4 easy payments of like I don't know how much it was, but it was something crazy.
Well, Ivan, when they were first setting up this system, one of the things that they said quite clearly, and it really pisses me off, pardon me, but they said if people have to work harder, to your earlier point, if people have to work harder to sustain their standard of living, they have less time to pay attention to what we're doing.
Mm.
Why is it not all over the place about the Genius Act?
Yeah,
He just changed the entire monetary system and the reach, considering who's really been adopting stablecoins for a while, which are third world countries whose currencies are in hyperinflation. And because the stablecoin is backed by dollars that are not hyperinflating, or they're inflating less than their currency, that's who adopted it. And so when the dollar crashes, I mean, really, wow. I mean, I just realized this. I just realized this. Okay, Ivan, here's just an understanding.
hmm.
Okay, when we became the world reserve currency at Bretton Woods, we had the most gold of anywhere, we had the strongest army of anywhere, and so we promised that we would hold the dollar's value at 35 to 1 ounce of gold.
Right.
We did not do that, right? We had to fund the Korean War, we had to fund the Vietnam War, we had to do all of this funding of wars, which are always a great excuse to create inflation. But what we were actually doing in that was sending inflation on a global basis, because all other currencies depended upon the dollar.
Right.
And so as we did that, when you look at the history and the charts from the Federal Reserve, and I just found this one, so I'm like, I found it actually a few months ago, but I just looked at it this weekend, which is why I'm so hot about it. But you'll see that governments began to lose confidence in the US dollar back then. And by 1960, there was a run on the dollar. We citizens in the US have no idea that that happened, but it did. So today, my point is not going through any banks or governments, but issuing the stable coins directly to the public in all of these countries around the world means that we are doing exactly the same thing that we did after Bretton Woods back in
Wow.
1948. So
Wow.
just like I can tie this looming, it's not coming anymore. I would say that it's more looming hyperinflation to what happened in 1914. Yeah, the rest of the world, the allies, and all of that has been shifting for the US, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said earlier, it's crazy times we're living in, and I feel like it's just going to accelerate. Like what you said, it's not coming. It's for sure looming right around us. But Lynette, I want to thank you so much for coming down to the silver and gold community. Before you go, though, I really want people to connect with your work and follow you on social media. I'm going to put the links in the description below, so everyone watching this, you're going to have everything to Lynette's links. And but where can people find you?
I am very, very visible and quite active on YouTube and Twitter at the Lynette Zang, Instagram and Facebook at Lynette Zang. And of course, we love phone calls. You can find us on our website, LynetteZang.com, but 833 GLD ZANG. And I would also say that we have a wonderful contributor in Emerald Fox who has a different perspective. So we talk about the same things, but she's a lot younger than me. So she has a different perception, and we're trying to do that as we build this network. We want lots of different viewpoints, and because you can't learn anything if all you do is listen to the same voice. So, well, that's not entirely true. Hopefully I bring more value than that. But generally speaking, I do think that it's a good idea to listen to a bunch of different voices so
Right.
that you can hear really what rings true instead of just constantly living on hopium, not a good plan. It's just not a good plan.
No, absolutely. And, I want to thank you so much, Lynette, for taking the time to speaking to the silver gold community on this channel. It's such a huge pleasure when you come down. It's a breath of fresh air. You teach us so much. So, yeah, I want to say thank you. Yeah, we appreciate you so much. And your links in the description will be below. Everyone watching this, highly recommend. Please follow Lynette's work. Follow her on YouTube, the Instagram, all of her social media, which will be in the link below. And yeah, Lynette, again, as the market develops, would love to have you back on.
Anytime, Ivan, anytime.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.